I negotiated with a guy, a $300,000 company for 100 grand. Might as well have been a million. It didn't matter what it was. I went bankrupt 6 months before. Everybody knows my name in my business. I feel like I had a good reputation. This guy shakes hands with me. He said, "All right, look, I will give you the 100 grand if you give me my payment plan." And he goes, "My payment plan?" I said, 120 payments. He goes, Dude, that's like 10 years."
Hello and welcome to Business Underdog, the podcast where we bring you inspiring stories for the aspiring entrepreneur. I'm your host, Eric Remer, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this exciting journey. Welcome to Business Underdog. I am your host, Eric Remer. I am genuinely excited about today's guest, Chuck Worley, founder and CEO of Worley's Home Services, and someone who truly embodies what it means to be a business underdog. Chuck's story is raw, real, and incredibly inspiring. He started with little more than a dream in a van and no customers, eventually building a multi-million-dollar business before losing it all through personal and financial hardship. Yet he started over from scratch and rebuilt stronger than ever. Today, he's built one of the most recognizable brands in his market through hustle, visibility, and consistency. This is an incredibly fun conversation packed with huge personality that Chuck brings and hard-earned lessons and great stories. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome, Chuck, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
I was flattered, man. Thank you for asking me to come on. I'm looking forward.
Well, as we talked about a little bit before, you've built an incredibly, you've built it twice, but we'll talk about that in a second. But you built a really amazing business, and
Yeah, it's not
uh,
recommended to do it twice, but yes.
exactly. Well, by the way, we'll talk about that. You get better the second time. But going
Sure.
back a little bit, what inspired you to be the entrepreneur, to start your own business way back when?
Wow. Yeah, that's a great question. I was in my 30s, and I was working for a couple different companies. I graduated from the apprentice school, Newport News Shipyard Apprentice School. They taught me the trade of HVAC. Worked there for 6 years, graduated, put me on second shift, which my son was a phenom in sports, ended up going Division I in lacrosse. And
Amazing.
so I knew by 5, 6, 7 years old, my dude is going D1 in something, right?
That's
So
cool.
second shift, like that takes me away from my child. So I mean, because that's when all the sports are. So
Yeah.
I went to work for a couple companies, and being raised by a Navy chief in Norfolk, Virginia, CV. My dad was in construction battalion in the Navy. He could build anything. He's one of my heroes in life, and just the guy that taught me I could be successful working half days. I just had to pick which 12 hours to work, right? Anybody done 24 hours in a day, 12 hours, like these young kids, they don't get it. It's grind, man. It's
Yeah,
work.
it's a grind.
So I'm working for the other companies and character, integrity, doing the right thing. My parents, middle class, my dad was a chief, mom was a nurse, like middle class, upbringing. They taught me these principles of doing the right thing. And back in the 90s, I didn't want to be next to a guy smoking doobies on the job. Like, that just wasn't and I'm like, people were not drawing lines in the sand of like, I can't work next to this. Like, you can't fire up on the way to a job site. And like, I'm not, and they're doing substandard work. And I can't do this. I said, the only way I'm going to be happy with this is if it's my standard and I control. So at 30 some years old, I came out of the shipyard and went to work for a couple companies and realized that, you know what, I just got to do this myself. I literally go buy a van. I don't even have my master's card yet in HVAC. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what a LLC is. I don't know what a business license is. I just know that I'm not afraid to knock on that door and say, "You need a heat pump?" Like, I'm not afraid of anything, right? So I open a business, no idea what to do, and just start knocking on my neighbor's door. "Hey, I do heat pumps, I do air conditioning." And I opened a company and drove it up to a couple $1,000,000, and I sold every job, and after every job, I did this thing that I implemented called a happy check, where I came, went, and looked at every single job site that did a big installation. Not every service call, but like every installation I did, and we got referrals out of just the owners coming back to check the job. Like, people are like, "Are you serious? Yeah, I already paid you." I'm like, "I know, I'm just here to check, make sure it's up to my standard." And dude, we drove up to a couple $1,000,000 company and you know, it yeah, I had a big dream, and I had 2 kids that like my 2 kids had 2 bad habits: eating and staying indoors, right? So I'm like, I have got to work. Like, I have got to sell some jobs. So started hiring some people and grew that business up to a couple $1,000,000 and then, you know, I had
Well,
some
hold that.
heartache.
Put a pin right there. We'll come back to that fun part in a second. But
Yeah, fun part. Let's go.
so when you by the way, you know, I'm what I love so much about this podcast in general and things that you have done. When I talk to successful, you know, entrepreneurs and business owners like you, it always comes down to doing the little things that you could step back and be like, well, of course, that just makes sense. But nobody freaking does them. For you to show up with the integrity and making sure the job's done right, people, you would think people would be like, well, that makes sense. But they're blown away by you taking that extra step, which in your mind, you're like, well, of course I would do that. But like that, it's doing the little things, providing the best service, which would, you know, again, of course that makes sense. You would be so successful, just differentiates, which is really amazing.
I had a customer years because every now and then people are like, eyes rolled over. They're like, "Yeah, yeah, you're coming back." Probably trying to sell me something. No, no, I'm just coming back to make sure it's up to my standard. I had a guy that did this $150,000 addition off the back of his house. Now it'd probably be 300,000. But anyway, it's like this $150,000 is it's like 10, 15 years ago. So I'm going to the house and he opens up the door and he goes, "Happy check. I already paid you." I said, "Well, yeah, I'm not here to get paid. I don't look at AR like I'm here to do what's called a happy check and just to check to see if you're happy, make sure my guys didn't kick the dog, make sure because if you may not call me and tell me there's a problem, but if I'm in your living room,
You'll
you're going
tell
to
you.
tell me there's a problem,
That's
right?
right.
So I go there and he goes, "Come here," and walks back. He goes, "So you're just here to look at the jobs?" I see the job, I'm looking at it, and I said, "Well, look, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna take care of this. There's like a that's not level. I'm gonna take care of it." He goes, "Chuck, it's fine, really. No, it's you don't need to do anything. Everything's fine." I'm like, "It's my standard, not yours, right?" So the guy kinda looks back, he goes, "Come here," and he, like, grabs me by the arm, pulls me to the back, and "You see this? $150,000 edition. You know the last time I saw that" I won't use the word he used. "You know the last time I saw that sucker?" He goes, "When I wrote him the $50,000 balance check. I have called him, texted him, blew went like, the guy will not answer. I'm doing like smoke signals. The
Yeah.
guy won't even answer my phone anymore. And you're coming to me after I pay you to just look to make sure it's up to my standard." He goes, "Dude, you will get every job from every friend that I know."
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it's unbelievable that you can't. And this is a $10,000 job, not a
yeah.
$150,000
It's
job. It's like,
crazy.
that just blows my mind. So
Eh,
I believe that's one of the wise reasons that we were referred so much.
well, I mean, so clearly you cracked the code on generating customers and building business. What were some of the earlier challenges you had? As you said, you didn't understand what an LLC was. You didn't know how to build a business. I'm sure you had some operational challenges early on. What were some of the things you had to overcome?
Yeah, to say that I sold myself out of trouble on several occasions is a very big understatement. So it's but you can only do that for so long, right? You gotta get some efficiencies. So problems that I ran into, obviously production, obviously character integrity. I ended up in 2001 coming up with a top. I call it the 10 commandments of a family member of a company member, right? 10 commandments. These are my standards. You cannot cross over these standards. Character, integrity, doing the right thing, no cutting corners, growing personally as well as in business, growing your trade, growing as a person. You know, all these things are important to me. And there are standards. I had my vision statement to honor and glorify God with the work done by your hands. Like, be serious about like this is yeah, it's just going to be a job to some people. That's not who I wanted. I wanted people that believed in, look, I I built a business that I wanted to work for. That's how I built my business. I couldn't find a company like mine that these standards were important. So I just wanted to build a company that I wanted to work at. And when you say that you work for Worley's or you work for my old company, that you work for me, I want you to be proud of that truck in your driveway. I want you to be like, yeah, I work for Worley's. Like I
Yeah,
work for Chuck. Chuck's the man. I've been there 10 years. I want career guys. Once I get somebody working for me, it's not often, unless they don't hit the standard, that they're not working for me in a couple years.
that's
It's
right.
important. And
That's
you have to set that standard immediately. But and when I first got started, I'm like, "Oh, crap, you could fog a mirror? You're in." You if you can dude, stick the everybody knows the mirror trick, right? You stick
Yeah,
the mirror underneath the nose. "Yeah, I see fog." "Alright,
that's
yeah, you're great then.
hilarious.
Hire you." That had to stop because I
Yeah,
was like, "Now I'm just like everybody else.
yeah.
I don't wanna be like everybody else. Why the hell are you putting yourself through this shitstorm? Like, what are you doing putting yourself through this storm when you could just go to work?" I mean, I could go back to work for somebody else and make 150, $250,000 a year selling for another company. Like, what are you putting yourself through this hell on earth to be okay? Like, not to have and again, we're not perfect, like, but they know. I had a guy call me the other day, pulled out a water heater, drip water on the carpet, and he calls me, he's "Rah, rah," and he's blowing me up, and I said, "Josh, why did you call me? Like, why did you use me?" He goes, "Well, I mean, I know you're gonna do the right thing. I know you're gonna take care of me." I'm like, "So why are you yelling at me before you give me an opportunity to fix it?" He goes, "You're right. This was a stupid phone call, but if it's not fixed by next Friday, I'm blowing your ass up." And I said, "That's fair." I said,
I
"That's
love
fair, but
that.
you can't blow me up." And then he goes, "It was rude to call you, come in hot, but I'm gonna call you next week. I'm buying you beer or I'm kicking your ass."
I
I
love
said,
it.
"That's fair.
I love it.
Like,
I
that's
love
fair."
it.
So I had a carpet guy go over there. I mean, it was rusted water on a and of course, it's always a white rug, not a black rug, right? So anyway, but we fixed it and
Well, you
we
did you
just
did what
sold
was right, which was your
it.
reputation.
We are literally at his house today. That job was 2 years ago. Literally, I was at his house today. We're putting in like a $10,000 job for him today. So
Amazing.
it you keep customers,
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
It's what the most expensive part of business, one of the most expensive parts of business is your level of integrity. The more integrity you have, the more expensive it is. Because
Interesting.
I could have said,
Yeah.
"It's a little come on, man, you barely even see it, like the door comes in." Like,
I've never heard it like that, and it's really interesting because if you look at the flip side of that, you are totally right. The level of I would almost say it like this, the level of investment goes up with the level of integrity, but that investment probably pays off, tenfold by that level of integrity, right? So you think about that integrity spend is like your marketing spend on steroids. So
it
it's
is.
it's a really interesting way to kind of position it. I haven't heard it like that.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Integrity is expensive.
I love that. That's great.
It
But
just
but
it is.
but worth the expense, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt.
So you built this, you kind of you tripped over yourself, you made the mistakes, you figured it out, you finally built, as you said, a $2 million incredibly successful business, and then life happened. You went through a divorce, subsequent, bankruptcy. Tell me how the divorce, the bankruptcy, that impacted you both, personally and professionally at that stage of your career.
Yeah, it's, I tell you, it was a big hit. My ex-wife, led me to Christ, gave me 2 perfect kids, and in the '50s decided to be single. So it kinda messed up my whole like, what I thought my life was gonna look like. It's as a Christian man and going through a divorce, that was brutal on me. Like, I just didn't b my parents were married 50 years, her parents were married 60 years, like, it was brutal. It was mentally it was yeah, it was it was a storm for sure. But I know God has a plan. I do know that God has a plan. Sometimes I wish he'd like, "Hey, Chuck, this is what I'm planning," but he doesn't. He just I'm like "Could you give me a hint, bro?" Like, could you like I know you got a plan. Like, I know your plan is not for me to, like, be scrapping metal and to eat and living in an RV with no heat. Like, I know that's not your final plan for me. Like, it can't be. Like, I have so much potential in my head. Like, but it was brutal. I mean, and then being broken, mentally, physically, I mean, dude, at the time I blew up to 275 pounds. Like I was just a wreck. It's then my friend comes to me and says, "Hey, look, I'll help you get out of this divorce. I've been divorced 3 times. I've had a couple partners. I've seen this. Let me buy your $2 million business for $1." And, I struggled in school, like, this kinda proves it, but dyslexic and dyslexic and dyslexic in 3rd grade, failed 6th grade, failed my senior year English, went to Norfolk State University, failed out. Like, I graduated from the apprentice school with a 1.2 GPA, but I did graduate. So school was not my thing, so I always tell people kinda joking, when I tell people I sold a $2 million business for $1, they're like, holy shit, you really can't do math.
That's
Like,
really
you really
funny.
do suck, right? But he would pay the debt. I sell it for $1 and he would pay 100% of the debt off, which character and integrity guy, that was all I cared about. If I'd have got a $300,000 check, my ex-wife's leaving with half of it. Well, we got a $500,000 of debt. Like that money has to go to the debt. But with her, it was going to disappear, right? So I felt like this was the safest thing to do, my friend, and he didn't pay what he was supposed to pay. My joke is I am really too pretty to go to prison, right? He's about a buck 80. I'm 260. Like, I am a big man. I was a state champ in wrestling. He's a buck 80. I'm 270. Somebody's going to the jail and somebody is going to the hospital, right? And I'll let you figure out which one is which, right? I mean, I'm ready and when he walks into the room, bro, the hair on the back of my neck would go up. Like, I am in a bad place. Like, I have to get away from him. So I was selling for the company. We merged our 2 companies together. I was doing 2, he was doing 1. We're doing 3 together.
You
Like,
ended up
so
working with
so
his
I went to work. Yeah, I went to work
oh
for him. And
my
then
god.
6, 7, 8 months later, I'm getting judgments and I'm getting all this. I'm getting sued. I'm getting all these and I'm like, "Bro, you're supposed to be paying all this." He's like, "Yeah, I can't afford to do it." "Oh, okay. Well, I just handed you $150,000 in assets and sold my $2 million business for $1 with the agreement you would use those assets to pay the debt." "Yeah, I just can't afford it." "Okay, I'm going to jail today." Like, this is bad. Like, I'm seeing things in my head. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Chuck, if you do that, you're going to jail. Like, you can't hurt." Like, I'm thinking, is the morgue better than almost the morgue? Like,
Oh
hospital
my
versus I'm
god.
trying to weigh it out in my head. I'm like, I love Jesus, so I can't kill him, but I can hurt him. Like, maybe I was like, I gotta get away from this guy. So I go to work for a couple different companies, and then I'm back to where I was with my pops, character, integrity, doing the right thing. I'm working for these companies. They're cutting corners. I'm like, look, I did go into sales, so I was making pretty good money in sales again, and I but they're I sold this old lady like a thermostat and a new system. They don't replace the thermostat. I go back and do my happy check thing, even though it wasn't my company. And I'm like, well, did you tell them you didn't want a stat? No, no, they said they didn't have one on the truck. So I called the owner and I'm like, hey, yo, bro, we sold them a thermostat. Well, if she calls us, we'll go put it in, but we're not putting it in. I'm like, no, no, we're not. No, we can't do that. Like it's illegal in my book. Like, no,
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
exactly.
So I'll go put it in. Like, I'll go put the thermostat in, but I'm not doing that. So here I'm in this situation again. So I said, my son's 22. He's in college. He's got a double major in accounting and business management. He's like, Dad, you're miserable. You're living in an RV. Like, you're freaking, like, you're broke as a church mouse. Let's just buy another company and we'll do it together. And I said, my son is my best friend. And I said, okay, well, opportunity to work with my best friend every day. I don't how is that a bad thing? I said, all right, well, so I negotiated with a guy, 300,000, and you've bought and sold companies, I think, in your past. So $300,000 company, buying a $300,000 company for 100 grand is not the right number, right? But it might as well have been a million. It didn't matter what it was. I went bankrupt 6 months before, chapter 7. Like I had to. It was just awful. So I go bankrupt and have no money. I shake hands with this guy. I said, "I will pay you." So, Warren Buffett, 40 years to have a great reputation, 40 minutes to lose it,
Yep.
right? So, for 30 some years, character, integrity, everybody knows my name in my business. I feel like I had a good reputation. This guy shakes hands with me. He said, "All right, look, I will give you the 100 grand if you give me my payment plan." And he goes, "My payment plan?" I said, "120 payments." He goes, "D it dude, that's like 10 years." I said, "I never wanna be in a position where I'm worried about payroll or paying you because I'm gonna pay you. So we make the number easy, and the company's doing 300 a year, so I'm paying 800 bucks a month. So I pay them off in 4 years instead of 10. But I had the option if I had a slow month, I could back off the
That's
payments,
amazing.
right? So I did it, and I have done that. I have acquisitioned 20 companies in the last
Wow.
8 years,
That's
all the
amazing.
same all the same way.
Doing the
All but everybody knows my story. The bankruptcy was a big deal to me. It took me 7 years, but I paid back every single person I bankrupted on
Did you really?
because
That's amazing.
757 is I mean, Virginia Beach to Williamsburg.
Yeah.
It's everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a bunch of cheerleaders out here at
Wow.
the home services businesses. Everybody knows everything about everything, right?
Chuck,
So I
that's
paid back. I'm writing a check for $73,000 to a supplier from 7 years ago. He's like, "Dude, I gotta put this back on my books. I already wrote it off." And I'm like, "Do you not want the check?" "Oh, no, we want the check," you know? So he, but he said in 25 years, I've had one person do it, and his name is Chuck Worley.
I mean,
And
no, I don't know anybody. Chuck, you're the first person I've ever met. People look at that, to your point, I've had people go bankrupt on me on their loans and things I've given them, and I said to that I actually just had a personal friend recently, and I said, "Listen," he goes, "Well, here's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go bankrupt." I go, "Listen, here's the deal. You either pay me back, you don't pay me back." I
right.
go, I don't care what you wanna do, what you're gonna do. I gave you a loan as a personal friend. You either gonna respect that or you're not. I'm not gonna chase after you. I'm not going after you. You're either gonna do it or not gonna do it, but most people, they don't do it, is the
Mhm.
bottom line.
It's the character and integrity. I mean, I told the guy when I was going through the bankruptcy, I said, "Dude, I'm gonna pay you back." And he's, like, rolling his eyes. Like, this isn't John Boy down the street. "I'm paying you back." $500,000 of debt. I did the Dave Ramsey debt snowball, paid everybody back. I sat down with an old CPA, that I owed it this one was a bad story. She $15,000 is what I owed her, and I was making payments on a CPA firm. She opens up her own practice and buys the debt from her company. I go bankrupt a month later.
Ugh,
And she's my friend. So
yeah,
I'm like, "Look, I was paying her 50 bucks a week, like I was doing the pet debt snowball." Like, she just like, "Just pay me." Like, I'm like, "I love you. Like, I swear I'm paying you back." She goes, "I told my husband you were gonna pay me back." So then a couple years, the bankruptcy, all that stuff goes through, and it was probably 5 years later, I called her up and said, "Hey, I brought a check with me," and, I said, "Do you know why I'm here?" She goes, "I know why I hope you're here." And, I said, "How much do I owe you?" She goes, "Oh, I just happen to have that here." And she literally pulls it out, like, right in front of me. It's like 3,200 bucks was all it was left, and I said, "You gonna charge me interest?" She said, "Write me the damn check." So I wrote her a check, and it was out. But she trusted me,
yeah,
and it's my name. It's my
yeah,
name. Like,
yeah.
it's Worthy's.
Well, getting back to your integrity being expensive, right? But you did the right thing. So what do you think the biggest lessons that, those setbacks taught you about resilience, leadership, and integrity, as we talk about several times?
I learned I kinda told you my school story, like, I'm not a smart guy, and I have always said, "I'm never gonna outsmart you, bro. I'm not, but I will outgrind your ass every single day the rest of my life."
Uh,
Like, it is when I walk into a room, I got a $100,000,000 guy, $200,000,000 guy. I was just rubbing elbows with a guy that sold his business for $500,000,000, like, the biggest out home service guy. He's just fantastic. Spent the day with him at his house and just great guy. When I walk into a room with those guys, they're smarter, they're prettier, they're better looking, they're better shaped, they're what but ain't one of them gonna outwork me.
yeah,
Not one of them
I
will
love it.
outgrind me. It's just not gonna happen. And I knew I'm never gonna outsmart anybody, so I had to outgrind people. I just spoke. This is a really proud moment for me last week. I got to speak at a VOTEC graduation in my area. I go back to local high schools, to as many of them as I possibly can. It's kind of, to tell my story of, "Hey, look, 1.2 GPA, you can still be successful,
Yeah.
right? Fail in school, you can still win." I'm that guy. Like, I want these kids to be like, "Man, I got a 2.2. I'm smarter than that guy, so if he can make it, I know I can make it." My goal is to give them hope that, man, if a guy like that 1.2, are you kidding me? That guy's dumb as a brick, right? I want them to think that so that they gives them the confidence of, man, I can still win. Like, I don't have to be the valedictorian of the class. And so anyway, I got to speak at the graduating class of, New Horizons here in, the 757, Virginia area code, and that was a proud moment for me to be able to speak into those kids and say, "Look," and I told them, I'll tell you the secret to being successful, work, four-letter word, outwork the sucker next to you. That's it. You're in a room, the guy next to you, you're outworking him. If you're not outworking him, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many talented people in sports, but man, I wanted that grinder. I wanted that guy next to me that's working as hard as me and put myself that's what I've done with our team, is having the 10 commandments, having the character and integrity built into the company. I want winners attract winners.
How did you, in addition to the integrity, the good quality work, the commandments, how did you like what innately showed told you that you should be out there utilizing your marketing, your brand? People who are listening don't see this, but everything that Chuck does has got the orange, the green, the white. I mean, he's branded everything
All the way to the gooder glasses,
all the
right?
way to
If
the
you even
glasses.
know.
Look
Yeah.
fantastic. How did like what drove that? What was that inspiration to
So
do
as
that?
we were growing, so the first couple years in business, I mean, I bought a $300,000 company, and within 12 months, we're at 1.1 million. The second year, we're at 1.75. My son ran the ops from his dorm room of his college campus, doing payroll at 4 o'clock in the morning, after studying, after lacrosse, after like we ran it from his dorm. We had a warehouse. Like, it was crazy. Grew from so I'm selling everything. I'm in every single house. If there's a sale, I'm in it. We grew that year he graduated from college, we were at 1.75. The next year, 2019, we went to 3.5 million. 2.5 million of that was me. So he took the EOS like he took everything off of me and said, "Go." Like, do not think of anything except banging on doors, knocking, networking, and selling jobs. So we start growing a little bit past Chuck. So all of a sudden, Chuck started to be the bottleneck because I can only be in 5, 10 houses a day. Like, I can't be in 30. Like, I'm good, but I'm not that good, right? And so anyway, we started. My son's like, "Look, the guys need to make more money. You're taking all the leads. Let them kind of do it." So he said, "You need to go into the marketing and the sales and marketing and branding." So I said, "Well, if all I'm doing is that and I'm not in 5, 10 houses a day anymore, I'm gonna be at 3 to 5 events a day. I'm gonna get in front of 100 people a day. I'm going to be seen in my market. When I walk into a room with 100 people, 92 of them know who I am." Like, it is I just took it to the next level. I can't and now I'm doing some coaching and mentoring and stuff with some guys now. I can't even get some of these guys to wear a damn baseball hat with his logo. Like, how the hell are they gonna know what you're doing? You don't have a logo on your shirt. You don't have, like, the same colors. You got one guy with a blue shirt, one guy with a, Led Zeppelin freaking ripped up T-shirt. Like, brand your business.
Yeah.
When I walk into a room, they don't have to ask who I am or what I do. They already know.
Yeah.
And it's getting owners. I had a marketing chick walk up to me one time. She goes, "Look, all I'm trying to do is get them to wear a baseball hat with a logo and just brand their own business. And then there's you. You're like a dream client to any marketing person. Like, you just have embraced it and taken it to the next level. I mean, all the way down to the orange and green Pumas. People notice the shoes or the Chuck Taylors, green and orange Chuck Taylors, before they notice my face. They're looking at what kind of shoes I got. That it's important to brand your business.
Yeah.
You People will forget you. I just had a friend of mine. I've been friends with this guy for 30 years. He worked for me 20 years ago. I talk to him, text him 2, 3 times a week. And he's talking to me the other day. He just dropped 2 grand on a plumbing company. I said, "At your house?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh shit. I just told on myself." I was like, "Bro, do I need to work on my branding? Like, why didn't you call me?"
Yeah,
He goes, he worked for me as a heat pump guy, technician. He's like, "I totally heat and air. I totally dropped the ball and it never happened again." But he's my friend and he forgot.
right.
So that tells me if you're just an average acquaintance, you're gonna forget about me unless I get in your face. I had a competitor of mine, I'm wearing this big orange jacket, and it's obnoxious, I'm not gonna lie, right? You don't have to go to the extent that I do, but I walk in and I walk in and to this thing, and he goes, everybody thinks you're a freaking idiot. Everybody's talking trash on you, like this idiot walking around with Chuck Taylors on, and he just flaunting like a daggone, what's the big bird with the feathers? The, peacock,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just doing all that." I said, "Dude, I'm just trying to be seen, like." He goes, "Everybody's talking about you, man. You look like an idiot. Everybody's just everybody I talk to just is talking about you." And I said, "I'm sorry, what'd you say? Can you repeat word for word what you just said?" He goes, "Wh what do you mean?" I said, "It's word for word. They're what? They're talking about you." And I said, "Guess who they're not talking about?" Mic drop.
I love it.
Like, if they're talking about me, guess who they're gonna call? Because top of mind awareness is real. Brad Lee I love Brad Lee's podcast, Dropping Bombs. He had said something the other day, he was talking to this guy. He goes or the guy goes, "The more hands you shake, the more money you make."
I like that.
And I said, "You know what? I kinda like that." And that's when I embraced the brand. That's when I embraced I'm handing cards to people that I see 2 and 3 times a week, and I'm old, so I like business cards, right? So, some of these tap things and the app things I don't want 58 apps, right? So, I'm a card guy. So, I'm handing cards to the lady's like, "Dude, I just saw you 3 days ago at another event. I already got one of your cards." I said, "I need one in your car, I need one in your house, and I need one on your fridge, and I need one in your office." 'Cause when something goes wrong, I want that green and orange to flash before your eyes so you make the right phone call. She goes, "Alright, I only got 2. I'll take the 3rd one." But you have to remind people, my friend forgot me.
Well, it's clearly been successful with what you've built and how you've built it, and as you think about kind of the next phase, both for yourself and the industry, we talked a little bit about, how you think about the future of home service industry as private equity comes in. How's the landscape changing for your business and the business as a whole?
I think, private equity has a place in the business. I was looking at a thing the other day. It said 61% are first generation, 30 some percent are second and third generation. 6% was private equity, which shocked me. That shocked me, right? But if you just say it was 1% 3 years ago, 5 years ago, right? It was 1%, right? I think it has a place in our market. I also think guys like me doing the small companies, buying half a million, $1 million and below companies, that's my jam. Like, because they're 70, 80 years old, and they don't wanna sell to private equity. They don't want their prices to be, $30,000 for change outs. They wanna sell to a family business, a legacy business, with me and my son. So, I have my market, and then I think the guys that are one truckers will be fine because they have no overhead and stuff. I think the butt kicking is gonna come from the $1,000,000, $2,000,000 guys. I
Interesting.
think that they are not 'cause, dude, I'm paying my guys $40 an hour. I mean, I got guys making 100 grand a year working for us. The franchises are paying percentages, so those guys are making $200,000.
Yep.
I just don't know how they sleep at night, but I mean, we have spiffs and stuff like that, but I mean, hourly keeps them eating, and then they get bonuses and stuff on being successful, but when you go straight commission, I think takes the integrity out of it because
Yeah.
if I got this blue-haired lady that has money and I could charge her 12,000 for a $10,000 job and I get 20% of it, I think you have to have boundaries, right?
Yeah. There
So,
you go.
we all need, in order to keep the dog in the yard, you gotta have a gate, right? You gotta have a fence. So, I think it's important, but I don't put down private equity because it's real. Like,
Yeah.
it's a real thing, and it
And
is
look, it
blessing a lot of
provides
people.
Equity, it provides liquidity for certain organizations, especially at the larger scale. Some of the guys you're talking about probably sold to private equity, the bigger guys that had, massively scaled businesses. I mean, look, a business of your scale, it's probably if you ever wanna sell, it's probably gonna go to private equity because
Yeah,
you
we're I mean, I started to take I mean, we were at 3.5, then we went to 6, and then we grew to 10,000,000 and
amazing.
from 4.1 to 10,000,000 in 2 years, like, we did 12 and then 13, and last year we did 17. So, like, every year we're growing, like,
Unbelievable.
I mean, God is I tell people, if you think God did it, you're mistaken. God has truly blessed me in business and has really lined up some great acquisitions and people coming to me. They've heard my story. They trust me that they know I'm going to pay them because I don't have private equity money. I'm not dropping millions. Like I don't have that kind of cash flow. Right. So, but they trust me because I paid back $500,000. I didn't legally, like your buddy, owe it to you anymore. So they trust us. And so, yeah, I'm getting calls 10, 12 times EBITDA, 17,000,000. Like these numbers are stupid, right? But, my son wants to, he's 31 and he wants to keep the
You want
company
to
in the
build the
family.
business, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So I mean, that's not to say that he's not going to talk me out of it, and, we do joke around. I was like, whatever you're thinking, just add a couple zeros.
hey,
Right.
Chuck,
So
there's always a
it's,
number. There's always a number, Chuck. So as you look at that next stage and you've had so much experience and a lot of success, and you've kind of gone into mentoring, coaching, what inspired that transition into kind of that coaching, mentoring, marketing mastermind initiatives?
Yeah, so I kept having people ask me to coach them and ask me to help them with their marketing and stuff, and I was doing it for free because I would. I mean, you would too. I mean, you help
Yeah,
people
all the
without
time. Yeah.
yeah, and I have a big heart, and I will tell you, I went through this nasty divorce and a scorned ex-husband for probably almost 14, 15 years, and God literally sent me an angel. I've been friends with my wife for 25 years, and we met at a networking event. She was my banker years ago, and her husband had passed away, and we got together. And again, I was dating a girl for 5 years, broke up with her because she wanted to get married. So I was never getting married again, right? And God sent me her, and I just said, "There's no way I'm letting this one get away." Like she is just the kindest person I've ever met in my entire life, and I am blessed that she, trusted me and wanted to spend the rest of her life with me. So Miss Julie is, changed my life. So I wanted to coach, and I was helping all these people in between other stuff, and I did my first keynote speaking thing last year in Texas in front of 200 HVAC guys, and, I did the thing last week. So I'm getting more opportunities to speak, and I'm signing a contract this week for a publisher and gonna write a book and all this stuff. So I started doing all this stuff and people are coming to me and my wife's like, "Look, I love you. I love your heart." I mean, she heard me for 45 minutes speaking into a guy who's going through a divorce. He's losing his business. And I'm just like, praying for him and, like, giving to him and, like, "Do this. Get your butt off the couch, like, go to work, grab a call, go do a free tune-up, and go sell a dis a service call, right? Just get back in your truck and just start over." And she's like, "You're doing all this stuff." She goes, "Look, anything pulling away from time with me, you have to charge for." And I said,
Love that.
"Y You know what? Okay." So I've got 3 full-time, like, coaching guys. I coach on Zoom a couple times a month, and I've got this marketing mastermind that's called Always Be Branding Marketing Mastermind I do on Zoom twice a month, and they could be anywhere. I had a guy in Texas and Florida last week on the Zoom that knew me from home services, and I'm pouring into these people, trying to help them give them guardrails, and I don't tell them how smart I am because 'cause I'm not that smart. I just tell them, "Look, don't do that because I did and it cost
Yeah,
this much more."
exactly.
Like, just listen to all my mistakes and you'll make millions. Like, it's just just listen to what I did wrong and you will be a multimillionaire, you know? So, I started doing that, so I got a charge that I do for the marketing mastermind, and then I've got coaching clients and, I've got people want me to go to Florida, and my wife's like, "Oh, I'm all in with that. Can we buy a house down there and get"
She's like, "Well,
uh,
I like this
she's like,
coaching
"This
thing."
coaching thing might work
Yeah,
out. I like this. Can we have one in Florida, one in California, and let's go coach out there," you
I
know?
love that. I love
She's a
that.
mess.
Well
She's a
well,
mess.
Chuck, I don't wanna take too much of your time, but to kinda wrap up with a couple questions, talk about advice, and talk about kind of things you've learned. Final advice for the future underdogs. The first is, what are the top 3 lessons you'd like to share with aspiring business owners, specifically in the trades, things that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, I will put this in the back of your mind. When you're swallowing teeth, you got knocked down. It happens. It's not gonna not happen, like, it's gonna happen. Like, some might not get kicked in the face like I did when I was on all fours. Like, after the divorce, I'm on all fours trying to climb up the ropes, and I'm getting kicked in the face as I'm getting, bankrupts and judgments, and, like, I'm like, "Lord, help me." Like, "What is happening?" Like, but the whole time, I will give you this, I would give you these 4 words: "God has a plan." And it is what I held on to with everything I had. It is like the only thing that I think that really those 4 words where God has a plan, and I know he has one for my life, and it's not to be this. Like, I know God wants more for me. And so if you're getting kicked in the face, just freaking suck it up, work harder, nobody cares, right? Just go to work, outwork every single person in the room. When you're going through crap, they don't care. The guy next to you does not care. Quit telling them about the awful divorce. I am winning. I am winning. I am not gonna get my butt kicked for the rest of my life. I mean, I was a state champ in wrestling. I didn't win every match my senior year. Like, I took lumps. I got my butt kicked, but there's in my house, and my ex-mother-in-law used to get so mad at me because I tell both my children, my daughter, three-time national champ in girls cheerleading, and my son was a Division I lacrosse guy, which is the half percent. He got a scholarship to go Division I. So he's in the half of the half percents, right? There is no losing in the Worley household. You can win and you can learn,
Yeah.
but you cannot lose. It is no unacceptable. And my ex-mother-in-law, she's God rest her soul, she's a wonderful person, but she says, "Stop telling him it's not okay." No, I'm not telling him it's okay to lose.
Right. Well, that's not the point. The
It's
point is, it's not about the loss, it's about the learning. You can't let the
yeah,
loss not be growth, right? You gotta grow from those opportunities, and by the way, I've grown from this opportunity, Chuck. I can't thank you enough for myself to share and everyone who listened today, your story. You should be speaking more because 'cause you're great at it, and you have a great
thank
story to
you.
tell.
You're
So
very kind.
I genuinely appreciate it. I'm inspired by it, and, appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Chuck.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'd like to invite you to subscribe to Business Underdog on your favorite podcast platform. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll be the first to hear these incredible stories. Please be sure to follow us on social and visit our website at businessunderdog.com for episode updates, resources, and more. And thank you for listening today. Until next time, stay inspired, keep pushing forward, and embrace your inner underdog.